welcome back to Are You Smarter Than Libertarian? I'm Jeff, and today we've got a story so wild it sounds like satire, but it's not. We're talking about the indictment of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Yeah, that SPLC, the group that built its brand on tracking hate groups, exposing extremists, and telling donors they were fighting the bad guys. Now, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, they might have been funding them instead. Now, let that sink into your leftist brains. So, here's what dropped. On April 21st, a federal grand jury in Alabama hit the SPLC with 11 criminal counts. We're talking wire fraud, lying to banks, and conspiracy to launder money. Not parking tickets, not paperwork errors, full-blown financial crimes. The allegation: between 2014 and 2023, the SPLC allegedly funneled over $3 million of donor money to people tied to extremist groups. Not randoms, not accidental overlaps. We're talking about connections to groups like the Ku Klux Klan, the Aryan Nations, and even organizers of the 2017 Unite the Right March in Charlottesville. Yeah, that rally, the one where people wearing Hawaiian shirts and carrying tiki torches. Now, here's where it gets a little spicy. The DOJ says this wasn't just sloppy accounting, it was a system, almost like people on the left know how to do fraud really well. Money routed through fake company with names like Fox Photography and Rare Books Warehouse. Like, come on now. Come on. Sounds less like a nonprofit and more like a Netflix crime documentary, even though I don't personally like Netflix that much. Prepaid cards, shell entities, and hidden transactions. And all of it allegedly designed to keep donors and banks in the dark. That's interesting, isn't it? Why would you want to keep your donors and the banks in the dark? Let me give you two examples straight from the indictment, straight from the horse's mouth. The first example is over $1 million paid to a neo-Nazi affiliated individual who stole documents from another extremist group. The SPLC then used those documents for their report. Interesting, no? Two, over $270,000 paid to someone involved in planning the Unite the Right rally. So we're going to give them money and then raise money off of what they do. Sounds pretty smart business. And it gets even better. That individual allegedly attended the rally at the SPLC's direction, coordinated transportation, and made racist posts online while being supervised. Wow. So the government is basically saying, you weren't just observing the fire, you were throwing gasoline on it. So make that make sense. Make that make sense. Now, the acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, didn't exactly sugarcoat it, which no one in the Trump administration really sugarcoats anything. He said the SPLC was not dismantling extremism, it was manufacturing it. Well, surprise, surprise, color me shocked. And Kash Patel from the FBI backed it up, saying the use of shell companies to deceive banks was a serious violation. But we're going to kind of brush it over because it's on the left. Now, what's the translation in layman's terms for everyone? This isn't a misunderstanding. This is allegedly a business model. Now, to be fair, the SPLC is fighting back hard. An animal that's injured and cornered will fight back insanely hard. Their interim CEO, Brian Fair, says these are false allegations, politically motivated, a hit job by the Trump administration. Yeah, that's not how that works. Just look at Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. Look at that thing, same thing. He claims the informant program was dangerous but necessary, that those sources risked their lives, that the information gathered saved lives, and was shared with law enforcement. Wow, it's like, let me break your leg, and then you should be grateful I gave you a cast. Now, to be clear, using informants is not new. Law enforcement has done it forever. The SPLC says this program dates back decades and has now been discontinued. No wonder you kind of caught yourself up and now it's like, oh, we discontinued it. But here's the problem with that. And this is where you have to think like a libertarian. People on the left and right don't really think. You need to think like a libertarian. If you tell donors, give us money to fight hate, and then you secretly pay people inside hate groups, and those payments help generate more content, more reports, more outrage to get more money, you have no interest in ending extremism because it's too profitable for you. And what point does fighting the problem become? To profit from it. That's what ultimately happens. Because here's the DOJ's core argument, and it's so simple. This was fraud. It wasn't fraud because the informants exist, but because donors were allegedly told one thing and their money was used for something very, very different. Wow, that never ceases to amaze me when you give to nonprofits, especially on the left. Now, the media reaction is completely predictable. Center outlets like AP News just laid out the facts like I just did. Charges, response, timeline, straight down the middle, nice and clean. Left-leaning coverage emphasized the SPLC's long history of fighting hate and suggesting this might be politically motivated. No, they were just stupid and embezzling and didn't know how to do it properly. Right-leaning coverage went full scorched earth, which is what the right does, calling it hypocrisy, corruption, and long overdue accountability. Same story, three completely different realities. And so what's the truth? We really don't know yet. But I have a truth. The truth is somewhere in the middle. These are allegations and not convictions. We need to remember that. They're alleged to have done this. They haven't been convicted in a court of law yet. But here's what you should take away if you're a thinker. Power without accountability corrupts. Doesn't matter your political persuasion. Narratives make money. We all know that. And when an organization's entire identity is built around a problem, there's a real incentive to make sure the problem never fully goes away. That's exactly what government does. They don't want to truly fix problems. They want to keep them so they can keep pumping more and more money into them. And now see, it never goes away. And that's not left or right. That is human nature. And that's exactly why libertarians don't trust centralized power, whether it's governments or nonprofits playing Captain Save-A-Ho. Because sometimes the people selling the solution need the problem to survive, and that's just human nature. And that should make you uncomfortable. So until next time, stay free, stay informed, and stay accountable. Have a great day.